what if I took this link and then decided to put my own spin on things?
Monster as Windwaker Link from Legend of Zelda.
And that is exactly what I've done. Hello everybody, my name is Mansa and welcome to a brand new How I Made This cosplay video. This video features my custom Windwaker Link design. Once again, these are progress videos and not tutorial videos, and if you learn something from this, cool, but again, it's not a tutorial video, it's just me showing you my progress. And on screen, as you can see, this is my very first Windwaker Link concept art design. Inspiration and references, of course, come from the main character base of Link with his pajama lobster shirt, orange pants, and his cool little wristbands, and as well as his main tunic green lime look. I kind of didn't really put too much green back into it. I did make these little lanyards that kind of allure back to the lime and the green. Clashing of colors are a little too harsh. If I put like a green hat and then like a royal blue tunic, it kind of just didn't match very well, so that's why I didn't like mix and match those colors. For the other inspiration, I wanted to make the inside shirt. As you can see in my original design, there was like a light blue shirt. I want to kind of use that off RL's dress, and then I also have little flowers at the bottom, which I'll talk about later. And then my main inspiration for this link comes from JoJo, who creates Linked Universe, their depiction of wind. I don't know, I just thought it was really cool. Like the flowy tunic looked really nice. Of course, I didn't use light blue, I used the royal blue on the shirt. Here's the drawing concept for the pattern. We got the back, the front, and then the sleeves, and then I put a little detail that I wanted zippers on the side so I can get in and out. I only used it on the dark blue one. I didn't really use it on the light blue one. And then there's the pants with the back and the front, and then there's the pockets. So the bottom part of the tunic attached to the shirt, so basically where the shirt stops, the bottom part of the tunic begins. The belt is not attached to the tunic part, so it's just the tunic and the shirt together, and then I add the belt on top. So when it comes to the back of the bottom part, I wanted to add this little cute backing where it's just like this water texture on the back, and I thought it looked really nice. With the front of the bottom of the part of the tunic, there is hand-painted designs. Originally, there was just going to be waves and a few little swirls from the bombs, because I really like those little swirls, to add more, because I actually messed up and I decided to play into the mistake, so now the actual thing had more on it. And I had to leave space for the flowers on the bottom. As you can see, I forgot to mention there is a little wristband only on one side on his left hand. There is the Triforce of Courage, and I wanted to do some embroidery. Yes, I wanted to do embroidery on it. So basically I make the triangle and then I fill in that one. The dragon boat scarf concept got scrapped because not only was the dragon boat a lot larger than I actually needed it to be, because I didn't measure it out very well, and I was just kind of putting scrap together. I don't even know how I did it. I just kind of threw things together and be like, yeah, I think I got it. And then the problem was that the scarf was wrapping around my neck really weirdly with the shirt pattern, so I just decided not to do that. So instead, the little neck design with the two white stripes and the red, well, actually was covered with the little strap that held the cape instead, which I thought would be a nicer touch. The concept under the extra bit was originally supposed to be if I had time to do these things, I would add it. I wasn't counting that I would have time before CarrierCon, but after me rushing for like, what was it, like 5-6 weeks, I got it done, and I was like, okay, cool, just in time for CarrierCon. That was crazy. I had to hand sew all the flowers to the thing and then super glue the ends, and oh my god. I think originally I was gonna go with the Earth Goddess song, but I thought that would be kind of weird on just the tunic, just like one song like that. And also the tunic's going to be split down the middle and divided, so I decided to go with 2 songs instead. So the original concept was either to go for Wind's Requiem or Ballad of the Gales, but I decided instead of doing that, because if I did Ballad of the Gales it'd be 2 and 2 and it looks really strange, so I decided to do a 3 and 3. So instead of that, it's the Wind's Requiem and Song of Passing. The bottom had this little ruffle idea, but I just scrapped it because I didn't have enough materials. When it comes to pleating things, you got to keep folding it over and sewing and folding and sewing. If you don't have a long enough strip, you're going to run out and it's not going to be enough. And I didn't have enough white, so I was like, nope, not doing that. Trust me, I tried my best to keep it, but it just was not working out, so I had to scrap it. And off we go. So I found a free pattern of Link's hat. I kind of guesstimated it because I didn't want to print it out. I then folded over the material so that it would be double layered inside when I sewed it together. So I have the triangle that I made and I folded over the material and I'm cutting it. The majority of this project was just folding and folding and folding and folding and folding. So much folding! Then I went over to my sewing machine and started sewing that big long seam, and then I went back for the bottom of the hat so it doesn't fray, so I folded that over and then I sewed that in. And then I turn the hat inside out. It's a triangle together. This is double layered so that it's like thicker than what I had on my costume, because on one layer, this is 2 layers. It just gives them more firmness. I've been thinking if I wanted to stuff the hat. Link cosplayers stuff their hats and I'm like, do I want to do that? I don't know. Once the hat was done, moving on to the shirt. I basically tackled this the same way I did my Deku cosplay. I took a shirt that I already had that was existing and I made a pattern out of it. Took a bunch of old paper, taped them together, laid them onto the shirt, traced over the shirt, and then brought it over to the material to be cut, folded, and then there it is, a sleeveless shirt. And it's not yet sewn because you can see there's clips on it. And in the corner I left a note to myself saying, hey, add seam allowance when you're cutting, because I didn't put seam allowance in the original pattern. May have overcompensated the size. Let's cut that down. I swear, half the time sewing is just folding. Folding and folding and folding. This video is super out of order so that you don't have to keep jumping around to see when one project is done, because what I did after that footage is that I went to go work on the pants, and after that footage I went to go work on the blue shirt, and it's just like out of order. So this is like a week later after that first video, and this is me sewing down the bottom of the tunic. Then we're making little rectangles with the water design inside and just kind of sewing them together first. So on my tunic, there were 2 sides of the tunic. One side had the seam from the original sewing together of the shirt, and then the other side did not have a seam, which I had cut so that I could add a zipper in there so that I can get easily in and out of the tunic. So I decided I need a zipper to help get out. And I took this inspiration from my other Link cosplay that I didn't make. They had a zipper on the side. I will probably have to trim the zipper because this is a really long zipper, because I thought I was going to make it like super long, but the top's not going to be super long, so I'm just going to, I'm going to sew up from this, the top end, and then go from there. I'm going to sew this up first, and then I'm going to put the zipper in because it's easier with all these pins here. I folded the wrong way. Wow, I'm very smart. Let me fold it again then. You can see you only have one sleeve, and that sleeve wasn't even correctly placed. I had to go back and change it. Anyways, so once the zipper was in place and everything was ready, I decided to go ahead and draw the lobster onto my shirt. I basically stood in front of a mirror with a white colored pencil and then just kind of doodled it up. I kept looking away to check the reference picture and then came back and finished it. And then I laid it down on the floor with a piece of cardboard between, because that's what you're supposed to do with this type of fabric paint. Oh my god, and then I started painting on the lobster. So once the lobster was done, I went back and I cleaned it up with some more fabric paint around the edges so that it looked nicer, and then I picked it up after it was done drying on the floor for a while and put it on this hanger and hang it on my bathroom door. And then I was telling you about how, you know, it's all cleaned up, it looks nice, and then you can still see the colored pencil, but of course it's colored pencil. I can just wash it off with some water. Of course, how can this be a Manta project without something going wrong? Okay, so as you can see, the armpit area where the sleeve and the shirt connects, it is too tight, which means that the bottom ledge area of the shirt is not long enough so that it can give me more leeway. And I didn't learn this was an issue until after my Deku project, because that was the first time I ever made a t-shirt from scratch. This is the second time ever making a t-shirt from scratch. I also noticed on the mirror that the sleeves were a little weird because one side was higher than the other one, and I had to undo the sleeve on the other side because it was actually inside out. I sewed it inside out, so I had to fix that as well. So I was just having a myriad of problems. I don't think I used that word right. I'm just having a lot of problems. I made a shirt from scratch once in my life, and that was the Deku cosplay, and there was a lot of mistakes on that one, so I'm learning, okay? So I realized this shirt, this side is longer on this side, and it made it a lot more comfortable. This is too tight, so I'm going to fix it. I realized that this sleeve is lower than this sleeve. The sleeve is upper, and I'm trying to fix it in that way. I took off the sleeve so I can redo the sleeves. I gotta make a new sleeve because, see, this sleeve is fine. It fits there perfectly. This sleeve, when I make the cut, I'm gonna make a new sleeve. The same size as that one, maybe a little bigger just in case. But yeah, this is learning. I'm learning. So then I began the bottom of the tunic. I was going to call it coattail, but I don't think this is a coattail. I don't know my terminology. Also, I'm going to take a picture of the front so that I can start patterning the paint that's going to go on here. Unfortunately, I didn't think about it until now that the paint's going to go through to this layer. But I don't actually mind too much because you're not really going to see the front ones too much, but the back maybe. Originally, I was going to go with the Earth God lyric or another song, and I thought, you know, it'd be better if I did 2 songs. I wanted to do Gale of Wind, but the problem with that one is it's 4, and I didn't want to do 2 like this because I look kind of weird. So I did 3 and 3. So we got Wind, Requiems, and Song of Passing. I wanted to do the ruffles, but the problem with that is I don't have enough material for that. Because originally I thought, yeah, I could do that, and then I decided to do one, and oh my goodness, the amount of material I do not have to do that. Because you got to fold it, and then sew it, fold it, and sew it. It makes this long piece, like, really short. So it's like I can't really sacrifice that much white to it. So I had the design kind of visualized down after that drawing, right? And I just sat there with it on the screen so that I could look up and reference it. But I was freehanding most of it, so because of that, I did make some mistakes. I decided to add these little like lines, but I realized I didn't really like the way it looked. So instead of, you know, being sad about the mistake, I decided to run with the mistake and make it look intentional. You learn skills like that in art school, let me tell you. I was so locked into this process that I almost put my paintbrush into my bowl of apples. I caught myself. So this is the current progress here. So look at the front, the back is not done yet. I'm trying it on right now, right? But I just realized the orange the orange pants cannot be seen, so I don't need to add the loops there, but I should add the loops on here so that I can actually have a good, you know, where the belt goes all the time. As a reminder, I do need to work on giving this thing a little sword strap on the back, which will be on my left hand because Link is left-handed in this adventure, so he'll just for me to vacuum my floor tomorrow because I think I'm going to go insane another day knowing that there's just thread all over the place. These are from my Breath of the Wild cosplay, but it has an openable thing here and this one also here. So I'm going to be putting my Windwaker in here. And I'm going to be putting, I don't know, nothing in here. This is on my belts. Probably, so my Windwaker is on my, so he's left-handed, so it's probably going to be here. This Link is left-handed, by the way. After some tinkering in my brain, losing it for like 20 minutes, this is what I've decided. So this spot right here on the left shoulder, and then this little thing down here, it's just perfect. So I've realized after like 3 days, all my problems were because I was trying to get the sword to hang like this, diagonally. But because I don't have anything that's sturdy, hanging the sword on like a strap or a base or anything, it would make the material stretch in a way that's not comfortable for me, and it looks weird. So I just decided one strap is enough. And originally I was like, man, it would look nicer if it was diagonal. I'm like, Zelda, dude. In Zelda, they're just like, yeah, you have a magic sword just on your back. There's no explanation in Wind Waker. I'm just like, you know what? This is good enough. I don't really worry about this because I have a cape covering my back. I honestly didn't even know how I was going to approach this, but I somehow did it. I basically took some felt, which was from another project that never happened, so I just had like a roll of felt. I didn't know what to do with it, but I thought I needed like a diamond shape, and I didn't want to use foam, but I thought, hey, I have felt. I can just wrap it in the other cloth and sew it on because this felt is sewable. So, which I thought was really cool, and that's what I did. But like, I think the most challenging part wasn't covering all the squares in black cloth. It was doing the half diamond on each of them, which is like the triangle, and I had to try my best to fold things. The corner of the triangles didn't really like the way I folded the cloth, but it's all I can really do, and I also glued the ends just in case, so hopefully that makes it a lot better, you know. Then I started cleaning some of the threads up and just getting that nice and neat, and then I decided to start sewing it onto the tunic. However, I made a mistake and I had to use a seam ripper to try and get it off. It happens. The notes are sewn onto the tunic. The amount of times I've accidentally moved a note the wrong way and had to resew it. And then the next part of the process was just painting on the dot. I didn't think the dot would take 20 minutes to paint on, but it did because I wanted to make the circle perfect. And I kept messing up, so I made them bigger. Unfortunately, I got that Jenna Marble problem for real. You know, when she was like the too much gene, I got that. I wanted to make things perfect, and I'd go overboard, and I realized, oh, I messed up because I went overboard. But I just wanted to make it look perfect, but I made it look worse. That has happened so many times. I'm just that for real. I miss Jenna Marbles, guys. I know, like, getting off the internet for her was, like, the best thing for her, like, her mental state and everything. But for real, I miss her. She was so funny. I miss my wife Tails. Sorry, I'm so tired. The day I'm recording this is probably not going to make it into the video because of continuity. Oh my god, continuity! My professor's going to scream at me for that. I'm not in school. Why did I say that? The next step of the process was to make belt loops, which I made a lot of them, but I actually didn't put all of them on. I think I put 3 in the front and then like 1 or 2 in the back. I think there's too many here, so I'm just going to do 1 right here. So these are just extras. So I had another strap over here earlier when I was trying it on. It was bothering me because it was pulling my shirt down because besides the weight of it, which isn't that heavy, it's plastic, it was right here, so it was pulling on the collar. So hopefully this will pull less on the collar. So I'm painting the back now. I'm trying to line it up with the front so I can have the same symbols and same things, basically as symmetrical as possible because I'm freehanding it. But on top of the waves, instead of doing those little marks, I decided to put the symbols of the goddess on there. I'm gonna take a nap while that dries, and you're probably like, but you have 5 days left to finish it. Why are you procrastinating? Brother, I slept at 3 a.m. yesterday. I'm tired. only like, give it like, maybe a 20-minute nap. I don't know. Good night. This fabric paint needs about 2 to 3 layers just for it to show better than the first layer, because the first layer is really thin. Next up, the flowers. I bought this fake bouquet at Joann's. They had a little floral section. I thought I need some orange flowers for the Ariel flowers on my tunic, so that's where I got it. And I just spent so much time cutting them up and putting them onto my tunic. But the thing is, I didn't know that the stems, like the green stems, are metal. Real strong metal for some reason. So I just took some scissors and tried to cut it as best as I could, or some wire cutters, and it wasn't doing well. But I eventually got them all off, and they were fragile and hard to keep in place. So I decided, because some of the roses are in 3 parts, I had to sew them together so that make sure they don't come off. So I sewed the top to the back of the tunic by hand, and every single, I don't know, I have the garlands from a different project, but I decided to use that, and I used that as a way to keep the things on. I also hot glued the center of the garland flowers just to keep it in there, and I also hot glued the ends of the garlands so that I could make sure that it doesn't slip out of the many sewing loops that I made on it. Each flower took like an hour to sew in, because I'm just like sitting there looping and looping and looping, and I'm like doing it panel by panel by panel, and it took like an hour, and then I had to hot glue everything together and make sure it stays. I didn't hot glue anything to the cloth itself, just the flower, like the flower petal on top of the flower petal. But I never really hot glued anything on the cloth except for the ends of the garlands. I just realized I'm fixing the seams here because my machine couldn't go through some of the thicker parts, because my machine is old and hates anything that's thicker than like 3 layers. And I also didn't want to try again because I'm pretty sure my needle broke and almost stabbed me in the face. Most likely I do need to cut the pants a little bit. It is long. But tomorrow I need to do some sewing on these parts because my sewing machine can't go through thick material, and it almost took my eye out with the needle popping. This needs to be sewn down the zipper. I need to clean up threads. I need to do some thread cleanup here and stuff. I had to basically take a picture of the blank version of this tunic, and I imported the picture into Clip Studio and then made a little template of how I wanted the design to go. Unfortunately, when I was making the designs, I messed up and I decided to go along with it. So now the mistakes are now painted into the design to make it look nicer, and it did look a lot more unique that way. I think it was originally just waves and the swirls on here. These are swirls. I really like when you're playing Wind Waker and you throw a bomb and all the smoke comes out. The smoke's got swirls in them, and I really like that, so I put it down here. They don't really look like clouds or swirls, but you know. The back is pretty unique on designs as well. It's the same design pattern, but instead of those like mistake scribbles I put on top, there is the sages. The sages, yep. I didn't know if this could go any other direction, so I just kept it in that direction. I made this one bigger than this one by mistake, but that's okay. I think it looks pretty nice. And the flowers on the bottom, oh my goodness, let me tell you, my wrist was hurting after this. The bottom down here with the flowers is supposed to represent Aro as well, his sister. And basically all the flowers, the yellow parts, orange yellow parts, are hot glued to the green leaf, but the green leaf is not hot glued to the cloth except for the edges of the garlands. So these little flowers right here are the garlands, and I had sewn the garlands down like this so that the bottom back part of the end is not visible and it doesn't slip off. So I had hot glued the end of the garland and the flower so that it's not visible to anyone. That is the only part that is glued onto the fabric itself. Every other part is not glued. Wow, this is coming off. And so I did that for every single panel here. This is just a square. It's got some water inside and design. Let's talk about the baton notes. I don't know what they're called in the game. Actually, I just call them baton notes. So the baton notes for the Windwaker. Someone's fraying. I'll cut the threads later. This was so annoying to work with because these are little felt squares that I cut out, and then I overlaid them with black fabric, and then I sewed the black fabric, and then after that I had to go back with the yellow fabric, make squares for those, but cut those in half so that it makes triangles, and then fold it over and sew those. The stupid ends didn't want to stay when I was sewing them, and it was really annoying, and I had to go back with the sewing machine and sew over these corners so the fraying would stop. Some of it still frayed a little bit, but not as bad as I would hope, and I put some fabric glue on it, and yeah, like right where the belt loops were, so when I'm wearing it you can't see that it's under the belt. And the best part about this being Velcro, like a lighter Velcro than I had for everything else, I can just rip it off when I want to show people. Now we move on to the shirt on the inside. I actually did not make that many videos on the shirt on the inside, so you're gonna just deal with that. I did remake the shirt like a second time because I didn't like the first one, because the first one was giving me problems, and I decided to cut the sides, but I made it the cut too deep, so I couldn't fix that, so I decided just to make a new one. On the new one I did make a mistake of cutting the bottom because I forgot this material is not stretchy, so when I move my hands up it like moves the entire shirt with me so that you could see my belly, so I had to re-sew the bottom part that I cut off. But it's not really noticeable from me wearing the tunic on the top. Unless I'm not wearing the tunic, you can't notice the seam line of me re-putting that part back. It's just long sleeves, kind of like halfway between the long sleeve, like it was stopped around here, around my elbow. So that's where it is, and I just wanted that length because I wanted the blue tunic to show up here and a little bit of the light blue to show down here. It's huge. I didn't even realize how much I was cutting until it was done, but it's this like neck piece here is massive. So next time that's something to consider. Here are the sleeves. And I just painted the middle white here, so it's just like a white strip. In his original pajamas, he has a white line, but on the tunic, I made it wavy lines, like the waves on the bottom of his shirt. But I don't know. I decided just to do that here on this thing. So this color was originally supposed to represent RL, his sister, and as well as maybe some of the allusions to JoJo's Windwaker Link design. As you can see, this is what I was talking about, the seam line here. I cut it too short and I had to add it back. You don't see it because it's under the tunic, so I don't really worry about it too much. But if I had to worry about it, I would probably have to redo the shirt, but I don't have enough materials and Joann's is closed. Sucks, you know? Let's talk about the pants. Flashbang, and we're on to the orange pants. Very bright, very elegant. Wow. Here's me cutting the pants out. I don't know what I'm doing. Did I have a pattern? I don't even remember. I use my flat iron to flatten down the folds so that it would be easier for me to sew, and the fold is a lot better, but you know, it doesn't always work, but it works sometimes. I mean, you know what, it's fine. So I made the pocket with a tracing of my hand, and then I made it go around it so that it'd be like a huge pocket, but I kind of wish I went back and actually focused on how I was sewing it, because the pockets are really tight when I sit down, and so it's really hard to put things in there. That is an oopsie. I'll think about it for next cosplay because I don't want to fix it because I'm lazy. I recently bought a separate pocket that I can put onto any belt that will hold my phone and my wallet, so I don't really have to worry about it too much anymore. But one thing is, though, I have to fix the belt loops. I didn't add them onto the pants because I thought, oh, I won't need belt loops. The tunic has the belt loops. I need to add the belt loops onto the pants now. It's almost May, and I realized this really late during CurioCon that I absolutely need another belt on my pants, because I put my phone in my pants. Oh my god, my pants was like trying to slip down. Unfortunately, when I was making the pants, I didn't account for the space in between my pants, and it made it really tight, and I was like, okay, so how do I fix this? Because I didn't make the middle long enough, and the crotch is really weird. And I was like, how do I do this without making the crotch look super weird? And I thought, hey, what if I put something in the middle? Like just like a U-shaped of a rectangular cloth, and that was my solution. Was it correct? I don't know, man. Good enough, you know? You read the instructions, even though I already know how to put a zipper in. I'm just an idiot. I sewed my zipper inside out. Not very smart. Those pants aren't just, don't even use a zipper. It's just there to make it look cooler and tighter. I cut the pants because they were too long and I didn't want to keep shoving it into my boots, and it felt really weird, so I decided just to cut it short. And also it was nice because if I want to wear the black shoes instead of the boots, then I can do that and it wouldn't be in the way. Cut. Yeah. Design, so it matches this one. Again, here are the pockets. I was talking to you about how the pockets are too tight. They're really tight when I'm wearing it. If I sit down, they're like super tight, but they still work. I'm going to later, either today or tomorrow, I'm going to be adding the orange belt loops because I need them, because these pants keep falling down. I don't remember if I covered it in the video or not, but I actually cut the bottom of these pants so they actually show, I'm trying to show you my feet, so they're about here, so they're pretty short. Looks like there's like a giant crotch area with without the zipper, so that's the reason I have it there. The inside is like clean because I cut everything, so it's not that bad. Yeah. The next thing I wanted to cover, because I don't know why it's not in the video, is the cape. This cape. This cape, oh my god. It was... The next part of the project was the sails cape. I started with my white material and then laid it over with a piece of fleece because I wanted the middle to be sturdy. I also was just trying to get rid of my fleece because I had so much that I didn't know what to do with it. So I was like, I'll just use it in the middle. So I took the white cloth and I sewed it over the fleece. Will you come to help me with my project? She has come to help me with the sail. Ah. Look at you, you look like you're wearing a little cape. I went to go and work on the symbol, which I basically went to the computer, I traced over the symbol on the cape, and then I made it bigger on another piece of paper, and then I cut that out and then used that as a template, cutting the green fabric and then folding all the sides in and using the iron to help fold it, and then I pressed it over a book overnight. So now it would be easier to sew it onto the cape. And looky here, it's pressed so nicely. Look at that. Now I can chop the excess off. So I don't have this thread color, this green. So I was like trying to think of alternatives, and I was like, do I want to do white? Would that look good? And actually, the white looks... Happens. And once that was done, I then took my fabric glue and I put it over the stitches on the back of the symbol so that it would not come off easily. And then I sewed the quarters with orange fabric so that I could make that detail on the cape. Then I took my spacey kind of fabric and I sewed on the back. Here I am cutting a hole into the sail so that I can add the rings. The rings were already from pre-existing flags, so the problem with that is I couldn't break it apart and then re-hammer it together, so I just kind of glued the top on and then secured it with other wires. This is what happens when you give yourself super glue poisoning. We're a ventilator, guys. Ventilate the room. wanted to use a green thing here because on the Windwaker he has green, like a green sail holder. I don't know what the name is, the terminology, but like he has a green sail holder. But I thought this cape was really annoying to design because originally when I was thinking of making the cape, I wanted to have it on a scarf and like hanging off a scarf. But I decided I'm not going to do that. And instead I went to opt out. Instead of the red scarf that I showed concept, I decided to go with this scrap with the two lines that represent the Red Lion King's neck. He has two lines on his neck, so I decided to represent it here. There are a bunch of Velcros to help it stick. This is how it stays on my neck. My favorite type of Velcro to use on cosplays, especially if you need like a strong hold, is the zip tie cables. When you're working with zip tie cables, they don't really move or they're really strong, so I really like them. I appreciate them more than like regular zip Velcros because I found them kind of cheap. The inside is lined with spacey fabric. It's mainly because I ran out of this material, but I thought this would be a nice touch because I don't ever have a use for this material anyways, so I just put it as a lining and it's really nice. And if you look really closely, you can see these little stars. Super cute. I first sewed this piece onto the fleece, and then I worked with the symbol. The symbol was a little annoying because I had to cut it out and I had to fold it, and I basically took tracing paper and traced it off my computer and I blew it up, which means make it bigger in art terms. And it looked like this, and I didn't know if it was big enough, but I was like, whatever. And then I went around and I sewed it with this kind of sewing. The reason I didn't use green is because I didn't have this specific color of green, and I didn't want to use lime green. It would make it stand out too much. So I thought if I used the white instead, it would make it look like it'll stand out less if you're standing from a distance. The space on lasts, so you can see it over it, right? And it was kind of fun. Again, I used the same kind of stitching here. I know some of them are coming off, but I just used like fabric glue to make sure it doesn't come off, because I was putting these little things in, and usually you're supposed to like put them in two pieces and like push them together, but I took this off from a pre-existing thing, so it was already clamped together and I couldn't get it, and then I super glued it on because I didn't want this to fray in here, and two, because I just wanted to put it on and make sure it was secure. But then I remembered what I did with my Bakugo cosplay, which I haven't even released that video, Bakugo cosplay, where I took the circles on his thing and I just sewed them like this. I just kind of like put these little thread pieces around to secure it in place. Bakugo has 4. He has one here, 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 here. But I just did 2 on each, and that's how I secured these pieces in, which they look really nice. These were on flags that I had before, but yeah, you can kind of see the fleece in between. Yeah, so this is really nice and I love it. I think the best part about the shape is that because it has this kind of shape, this is where my sword goes. You can see the sword hanging off on this side, which I really appreciate. And like when I'm standing this way, you can kind of see the Starry Night background. The day before CarrierCon, I had my mom help me iron everything, and thank you, Mom, love you. She watches my videos. Hello. And there you have it, the articles of clothing that have been sewn. The cape, the pants, the shirt, and the tunic. Hold on guys, we're not done yet. So, the next half of this video are all the props and how I got that together. Let's address the elephant in the room. How did I do the red lion head? The answer is, I have no idea. I just kind of winged it and looked at references and just kind of shaped it. I didn't really record the process of putting it together much, but I did record a lot of the painting process. I keep foam scraps, at least they gotta be bigger than my palm, because I don't like keeping itty bitty things because my brain would hoard it all and I don't want to do that for this dragon head. So it's a great use of recycling and using my scraps. So I'm using 2 different types of paint here for the red line, because the red paint was when I ran out of paint at one point and went to go and get it from a different store. So I was like, I'll get it from this other store, and it worked, but Mod Podge did not like it, and it kept smearing the red around so that it would smear it on other things. I used it. I learned that the hard way. I had to repaint some stuff. I was also using different paint brushes so that the colors wouldn't mix. My yellow bottle of paint completely dried out. It was water-based, so I was lucky enough to put water in the bottle and shake it around, but the thing is, it was so dry, it was really hard to get that yellow back, and the yellow was very minimal, and it was really watery, and I was just like having so much trouble trying to get the yellow to show, but eventually it worked after a few coats, so I hope, you know, it shows that. And I also did not make the whole thing super 3D, and I didn't really want to because originally it was going to be on my shoulder, right? So it should have not obstruct my elf ear that Link has, a Hylian ear, and then I later thought of a way to attach it to the body of me without needing to put it on my shoulder because it's way too big for that, and blah blah blah, I'm ranting. The next thing I did was I took a nail clipper, and usually in the nail clippers there's a nail filer with a pointy end at it, and I used that pointy end to basically score the dragon on the foam so that it would look like it was a lot more wood textured like, and I had to go back and paint it because as I was scoring I realized that it's like opening the foam and it's like making more white spots, so I had to go back and paint it. But the scoring did a number for this prop because it looks like wood texture. I love it. To have this kind of texture on it, so I was scoring it. I don't know if scoring is the right term. Not cutting, but like just kind of like, you know, making little marks with the end of a toenail clipper filer thing. After some Mod Podge and repainting and more Mod Podge just to clean it up a little bit, I was done. And the inside of it has a spool because that's where I wanted to hold my hand and also have it attached to the end of the strap that I made for it. Just a heads up, I did not make the model for the Windwaker. I downloaded off Thingiverse, which is a free website for 3D models. It is made by Leo da Vinci and it was made years ago. But hey, look at that! I 3D printed it and glued it together. That's all I did. So just want to let you know that I didn't make the model. String tape wet. It happens all the time. Disappears. So we're going to do the next best thing. It's a natural roller. We're going to just wrap my hand. I'm just going to wrap my hand around this thing and measure how far that is. Plus seam allowance. I kind of counted this one as a prop even though it's not, but it's the wristbands. I basically sewed a black band together and then I started to embroider the Triforce onto it, with the Triforce of Courage being the one filled in. Originally I was going to try and use the felt instead and then embroider around that by hand, but it just didn't look nice, so I decided just to go with the machine route. And I've never embroidered before, so this was my very first time embroidering anything, so I hope it doesn't look too bad. My machine does not have an embroidery setting, so I had to do it by hand, of course. I get these boxes, it's just kind of in me to do that, I guess, but I just realized, hey, I need a plastic film. Where could I get some? It's really funny though, because I got these for free anyways. If you guys remember my last competition, I got $300 off store credit for another film, and honestly, it was kind of worth it, you know? I get this right here. I just remembered about the telescope. So when I made the telescope, I made it out of black foam as the base because my gold paint shows up very good on black foam. Unfortunately for me, which I didn't account for, was the fact that red paint does not show well on black foam. I had to paint the entire thing red first and then paint it red so that it would show. And that, oh my god, I tried so many times without the red paint, and then I painted it white, and then I was running out of white, and then the white looked kind of pink, and I was like, oh god, and it just took me forever. I painted the seagulls on it, I painted the gold, I used a hole puncher to make the little details around the ring of one of the things. I didn't notice until the end that the it's lopsided. Oh my god. And the little plastic things, I was struggling to look for a plastic container, but then I remembered my old figures had their box, and the box had plastic film on it. So I took the plastic film from it, I cut it, and then I used it on the telescope, and I painted it, and voila. Yep, my first one, I did it backwards, so it would like, this is like this backwards, and I couldn't flip it any other way to correct it, so I was just like looking at reference pictures. This is the correct way. So like when I'm wearing it, it's like this. I like painting silver or gold on black foam instead of white foam because it just shows up better. This is the belt symbol. I just wanted to make an attachment on it, so I took the way I did my Korean attachments and I just put a piece of Velcro on the back, and then I can loop it around so that the Velcro attaches to itself, so it just kind of stays on top of my belt. Before fanning it, I'm probably going to redo the hot glue on the back because for some reason my Velcros aren't staying, so I'm probably just going to replace the Velcros and we should be good. Yep. Stuff on it, and there's like some foam charms hanging from it. The way I do that is that I have this is more of my favorite kind of Velcro. It's the cable Velcro. Put on cables to put them together. It's so strong. So I need to replace this part because it's not sticking very well. But basically, I hot glued the Velcro. So this is the rough part, and this is the soft part. And when you put on your belt, you just kind of do that, and it sticks to the belt, and it's like that. So that's a very good way to know. If you didn't think about that, you can think about that now. And when it's on my belt, I can just remove it anytime. So I don't have to commit to putting it on the belt. I use a lot of Velcro in this cosplay because I didn't want to deal with like buttons. If you've ever had to make buttons, it's so annoying. I didn't make any videos of me making the lanyard because I guess I forgot or something, but it happens. So here's just a video of me explaining the lanyards. Or maybe it's not a lanyard, I don't know what it's called. Basically, it hangs off my belt like this. And the reason why this color scheme is just here is because I wanted to pay a little bit of homage to the original green and lime color Windwaker Tunic he wears. Here's another one. I have two. This is Velcro again. It's sewn on. It goes like this over the belt. Yep. I like to wear these actually like instead of like having them both facing this way when I'm wearing it, I like to have one this way. So it's like both of them are like this. It makes them a lot more interesting to look at. I made the joy pendant very last minute. I don't know what ran through my head or why I wanted to make it so badly, but I did make it, and I put the holes in the antennas because that's not in the game, but I put it there just because it's easier for me to put the chain through it. I didn't make this guy, I bought this guy, and you couldn't really hear him, but like he can do this. Yeah, that's him. He actually has a bunch of different faces, and you can replace the faces and stuff. I think it's really weird when I fix up wigs that have been in storage for super long, because sometimes I think like, oh, I can just touch it up and I fix it, and I stare at it and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. And then I fix it up and I think I made it worse, but then when I look at pictures afterwards, I'm like, huh, that looks better than the first time. Happens way often more than you think. That was not a sentence. It happens more than you think. Wow, that's it. I covered everything under an hour. Nice. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like it, drop a like, subscribe, leave a comment. If this helped you out in some way, even though this is not a tutorial video, very cool. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. This video took me over a month to edit. I thought it would only take me a few days or a week. It took me a whole month, and I kept losing motivation. And I was like talking, and I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I don't want to do this. I'm tired, Grandpa, you know? Anyways, I hope that you guys enjoyed, and with that, I hope that you have a great rest of your morning, day, evening, whatever time it is, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.